Are you gonna love me if I'm bad at this?
Yeah.
I'm feeling a certain amount of pressure because we are best friends.
I think that I have been more nervous to record you than I've been, like, to record anybody else.
I know. I am more nervous because I don't want to disappoint you.
I'm not worried about that. Welcome, everyone, to an episode of 52 of my closest friends. And I am the most nervous that I have been to do any of them so far. Even though I'm sitting in the room with my best friend, the person who I feel like I can have a conversation with about literally anything. But there is just something about being a little more nervous for this one. So this is best friend Hannah, shared name. You can say hi if you want to.
Hi.
I feel like everyone needs to know my first impression of Hannah was that she was rude and not cool. It just turns out she's just like shy and maybe still not cool, but like at least just shy. But I don't feel that way now. She's okay. She's fine. We get along great. We were sitting here discussing like the parameters of how these things were going to go, and it just feels like I almost just feel like we should like be in our respective homes on the phone.
Yeah.
Like just doing our like normal like
Those are when our best conversations happen.
Absolutely. One of the things that you and I do really well is we like are having a conversation with each. Also, I need to set the tone. Let's just set the tone real quick and address where we're at. Hannah has a dog named Winston. He's a golden doodle. We will make sure to post a picture of him for everyone so that they can enjoy him. Winston, this is his house. And so he's going to be here. Like, he just licked my hand after he just drank a gallon of water. So if you hear Winston in the background, just know that he's hanging out with us also. He hasn't quite made the close friend list for me yet, but he's growing on me.
He's Suki's close friend.
He is Suki's close friend. He loves Suki. Suki, not in her 52 top friends either. Nobody is in Suki's top 52 friends.
Everyone is in Winston's
Everyone. He's like, you're number one.
Everybody's friend. Okay, so you were talking about us being on the phone.
Yes.
I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Winston, we just needed to make sure that people knew.
Yeah, that's where the heavy breathing is coming from. It's a dog, just so you know.
The phone call is coming from inside the house. It's Winston. It's Winston and his heavy breathing.
Yeah.
We are sitting in your living room, and Hannah and I, we talk on the phone every day, like at some point. And if we don't, like, there's always like a check-in of some points of just like, hi, I'm alive, hope you had a great day, you know. Or it's like a random text message like, you won't believe the blue car I just saw, like just like the dumbest things, but it's just it's been a constant in our friendship. And so Hannah and I, our best conversations are in like the nonsense on the phone with each other. The like, you're telling me a story, I'm telling you a story, but like we're not really even engaging with what the other one is. We're just having this like a Christina and
that makes us sound a little bit like self focused there, Hannah. You're like, we're not actually listening to each other. That's why these are our best conversations. because we're just talking to one another. That is not exactly the truth.
That's true.
That is true sometimes.
It is true sometimes.
Even actually sometimes Hannah will say, I don't actually need you to listen to this. I just need to say it. So you can just go on about your business.
I think that happened like yesterday or today. I think I was in the car with you. I was just like, I just need you just do whatever you need to do. I think that there is just a lot of like comfortability that comes with that of being able to just have those conversations, which is why doing something like this just feels like really clinical. It's like not like with everyone. Like I think most of these we're just like sitting having a conversation, but I think that there is just some pressure in like, all right, this is like the one conversation we get, like other people get to hear, you know?
Yeah.
And so like we can either be like total weirdos or not. I don't know. Why don't you tell people why we're sitting in your living room tonight?
Because I live here. I don't.
Winston.
Winston says hi.
He says hi.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Winston has yet to find his other hidden peanut butter that I placed for him. Maybe if we throw the ball that way.
Okay, we can do that.
No, we are in my living room in Greenville, Kentucky, because I live in Greenville, Kentucky for the moment.
I'm so annoyed with you right now.
Why? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by this question.
I just mean, like, why am I here? You know, like, I didn't, like, not that I wouldn't just come for, like, podcasting stuff, but, like, specifically in Muhlenberg County.
Oh, because I'm having my bridal shower tomorrow.
There it is. My gosh.
My best friend Hannah, who is also my maid of honor, is throwing me a bridal shower because I am getting married.
Married! I wish I had, like, a bam, 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 bam. I'll try to find, like, a noise. It's weird. So Hannah is getting married. Her shower is tomorrow. She's getting married on the 7th of December, and so depending on when this podcast drops, like, you'll probably be married.
Woohoo!
Like, the chances are incredibly high that you will be married by the time that this comes out, so it'll be really cool to listen back to this. But to be honest, I was a little emotional earlier this week about, like, coming into your house, because so Hannah is getting married, but she's also moving, and so she's in the process of, like, packing her house up.
Like 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Not just, like, down the street.
Yeah. And you moved back in 2018, the fall 2018?
Yeah. I've been here 6.5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, 6.5 years goes by really, really quick. Like, to think that, like, I've been back in Evansville since 2017, and I think about how quick that has been, but then I think about, like, you buying this house and what all has, like, come from that, you know, like, you've got Winston, he's a new addition still.
Yeah.
But
it's almost his birthday.
It is.
He will be 2.
He's just a toddler. He's just a baby. he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come over here and love on you. No, I think that I was just a little emotional before coming in here. Well, maybe not even tonight. I think today I was a little stressed out. But, like, just thinking about, like, walking into your house and, like, seeing your bookshelves empty and, like, the hallway empty and, like, other things, like, I'm not emotional about it at the moment. But it's also, like, it's, like, the packing up. Like, the slowly packing. And, like, it's not just, like, oh, it's, like, marriage. Like, it's, like, this full, like, uncovering and recovering of this, like, transition in your life. And it's also weird that, like, this won't be the last time I'm in the house, but it's, like, the second to the last time that I'll be in your house.
Yeah.
And I was
the last time will be the night before my wedding.
I know.
Woo. Yeah, I started doing that last week, and the books made me sad.
Yeah.
That was, for some reason, I don't know why, but that was the first thing that I started to pack. And yeah, they look so beautiful on these shelves I put here. And so
the painstaking shelves that were finally put in.
Yeah.
No, it was weird, and I think maybe that's why I was just, like, a little nervous. I was like, what if I just get, like, overly emotional? Like,
you
people
probably will at some point.
I probably will.
I might.
Hannah is what we like to call passionate. You know, she just gets real passionate about stuff,
Yeah,
which
that's a good word.
I am also passionate about things. We just express them very differently. Okay, so for those of you that listen regularly, you know that I have a list of questions that I usually send to the people who are doing these podcasts. And I sent this list to you, like, it was probably a couple months ago, like, just for you to look through, because Hannah needs as much preparation as possible. Like, if there was a way for her to, like, go back in time and plan everything for, like, the future of her life and, like, be able to come back and step into it to feel fully prepared, I think that she would.
Man, that life would be like... Sorry, I'm getting a little serious here for a second.
Absolutely.
You know how I am?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we planned, like...
If we planned it and it, like, stayed to plan?
Yeah. It would be so much worse than it is right now.
Oh, it would be awful.
Because we just can't.
Like,
I can't.
I think about all the things
that you wish would have happened at some point in your life. But then, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche maybe, but you know, you've seen that picture of like the little boy that's holding the flower or a little girl, whatever, it doesn't matter, but the child that's holding the flower that Jesus has given it, and him or her, mm-hmm. and but like behind his back he has a full bouquet.
Yeah.
And it's like we would pick the flower. You know what I mean? And we just like, man, sorry, I got a little serious there for a second, but if we would be,
I think that is something about you that's like really, like, it's really interesting because like you really love to be surprised. Like, if you don't know it's coming, you have like a genuine reaction every time. Like, you are somebody who I think handles true surprises really, really well. You don't handle limbo well. Yeah, like, limbo is, which I don't.
I've been in limbo for months now.
You have been in limbo for months, and I'm not somebody who also like handles it super, super well. But I think for you, like, your highest points of stressors are when you're in limbo. And like, I've known you since the fall of 2011, and I think about your, like, I would say like peak moments, like not necessarily like core moments, but like if I go back and I think they're moments of limbo because you feel like you've had like all this control taken out, which is so weird to me because like you're not a control freak. Like, you're very, I wouldn't say like go with the flow.
I'm flexible.
I'm
a flexible person in a lot of ways, but there are just certain areas that I need
particularities.
Yeah, I'm particular in certain ways. It's kind of random. Like, there are certain things that I really could care less about, but then there are other things
like
that I'm really particular
you
about.
Would straight up let Travis pick a house out for you and just be like, these are the things that I need, and as long as these things are on the list, I don't care. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, you would take hours picking out a pair of pants, like trying them on.
This is so true.
Like, you would make a life decision based upon the fact that like you don't want to make it in that moment, so you want someone else to default for you. Yeah. But you would take 3 days to decide what you're gonna wear to closing. Like,
yeah, my family has like this infamous incident when Ethan, who is my younger brother, was gonna buy me a wallet for Christmas, mm-hmm. and we were in the store, and they left me. I mean, I probably looked at wallets, no joke, 45 minutes maybe, because it was just like, and it wasn't even a huge selection of wallets, but I have to look at all of the details, all of the,
you have to take everything into consideration.
I have to take everything into consideration. Yeah. And so, but it is fascinating, like, the dynamic. You mentioned Travis in the house, because I really have, I just kind of want him to have that leadership, and obviously he's asked for my input, and we've, I mean, obviously we're making those decisions together, but really at the end of the day, like, if he really wanted something, I would probably be like, on board with that, let's do it. But and I don't know, for some reason when you said that, I was going to say, I don't know that you know this really, but I also am that way about dinner with him, which I've never been with anyone pretty much ever. But he picked, like, and he probably doesn't like this really. He probably gets a little bit tired of it and would like for me to make some decisions. But I pretty much let him pick where we eat all the time.
Y'all, that's a really big deal.
It's a really big deal.
It's a really big deal.
That is true love in my world.
I will tell you, I don't think I've ever told you this. And I feel like there are not many things that I have withheld from you through the years, but I have kept this, and I don't know why. I don't know why this was something that I look back on and I'm like, it was when I was probably just like really passive with you, and I was just like, I just want to make Hannah happy, like, she's my best friend. I just want to put a disclaimer out there, because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. Texas Roadhouse is a great restaurant. It's a fine restaurant. I would say of the chain restaurants that I have accessible to me on a regular basis, I would eat at Texas Roadhouse, because it is consistently good. You know what I mean? However, once upon a time, back, I was still in college. And you had graduated and were living in Indianapolis. It was the day that Liz and Jonathan got married. It also happened to be my 21st birthday.
Oh, yeah?
And we were coming through Indianapolis. And of all the restaurants in Indianapolis... No, wait. No, these are different. These are two different. I just happened to celebrate 2 birthdays in Indianapolis. I'm getting this mixed up. You were living in the dorms at Marion.
Oh, man.
And it was my
what a time.
It was my 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And we ran into your, like,
the roommate.
Oh my gosh, the roommate.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought you were going to bring up.
No, I wasn't going to bring up the roommate.
We don't have to talk about that.
We don't have to talk about that.
Well, she wasn't really a roommate. She was like...
Sweet mate.
Yeah.
Bathroom mate.
Yeah.
Jack and Jill. Oh my gosh, I forgot about your roommate.
I know.
I don't remember her name. It's fine.
I think about her every time. We were having a conversation the other day about people who don't get their driver's license, like, ever. And, anyway, super random. Sorry. But...
Okay.
Anyway.
I forgot about the roommate, man. That's great. No, I was thinking about us out in the hallway, and all of your, like, cohort people were out in the hallway, and they're like, oh, it's your 21st birthday. Where are you going to go? And you were like, yeah, we're going to Texas Roadhouse. And I was like, that's kind of lame. And I remember, genuinely, I've held this in for so long. For 10 years. For 10 years, I have been sitting with this thinking, like, I didn't really want to go to Texas Roadhouse. We ate at so many other good places in Indianapolis. But we also, you hadn't been there yet, so, like, we didn't know. I think it was a very, very safe option. But, like, where you went to school, we had to drive to go to Texas Roadhouse. Like, it was not convenient. And I just remember thinking, well, like, Hannah likes it. It's fine. I also was probably just insecure about, like, what I would have wanted to eat and what I have picked wrong. Also, Hannah does not like to pay for food if she doesn't like it. And
yeah, that's a really
I probably had a lot of factors, but we picked Texas Roadhouse, and I think...
I don't know why you're complaining. Texas Roadhouse. Those rolls and the butter. It's just...
I'm sure it was delicious, and I probably, honestly... Had the people in the hallway not said anything, I might not even have questioned it. But there's also just the part of me that's just like, I know I didn't pick Texas Roadhouse. I have never loved Texas Roadhouse as much as you do.
Well, that's okay.
I know.
There are things that you love that I don't love.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, I don't know why... Oh, hi, Winston.
He is in her face.
I don't know. It is not even like it's a secret. You know what I mean? It was just the fact of like, I just remember not wanting to go to Texas Roadhouse. But all of this to say is that Hannah is very particular about where she chooses to eat. But she is a particular person. She wants to weigh all of her options. And I think that, like, I genuinely also see, like, the side of that where I feel really special being your best friend because, like, you had options, you know?
Aww.
You had options and you picked me.
That is true.
Don't act like you had so many options.
I was about to say, what am I supposed to say here? Because the truth is, I probably didn't have that many options because nobody wants to be my friend. Can we have a quick counseling session about that?
Why won't he be my friend? Listen, I just want everyone to know.
Oh, no.
I want everyone to know.
You know I'm kidding, right?
Oh, for sure. You didn't have any options.
Okay.
I was obviously your top choice.
Yeah, okay.
There is something about when we're, like, just in, like, the comfort of, like, each other, obviously. We can name drop all we want because we know who the other one's talking about. There are going to be some bleeps. I'm going to have to bleep some names out because not that I think everybody and their mother is going to be listening to this.
Well, we also don't want to talk about people.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about people on a microphone.
Yeah.
How dare it? Also, when I say that Hannah and I talk on the phone every single day, this is what we talk about. We talk about my coworker, who I don't care for. That is a center of conversation. We talk about what sort of limbo Hannah is in that day. And then the rest of it is literally...
whether or not I should mow my yard that
day. Oh my gosh. Listen, if I had $1 for every time that she has complained about having to check out at Walmart because they close... Listen, Hannah's a millennial. Hannah is a year older than what I am. She is the least millennial person I've ever met in my life. I don't know a millennial who would do anything other than self-checkout. I would leave my stuff in the store and go home if there was an option for me to have to.
I like self checkout on like a small amount of items, but like if I have a whole basket full and it's a lot of like fruits and vegetables and stuff.
That's fair.
Super annoying.
It's fair. It is really annoying. However, we talk a lot about her disliking of having to scan her individual apples, and her mowing the yard during the summer. If I call her, I usually call her after work. This is what happens. Should I mow my yard tonight or tomorrow? It's supposed to rain, but I just don't really want to, and I need to work out, and I was going to go play tennis with Audrey. Like, those exact words have come out of your mouth so many times. And then outside of that conversation, it's like, we'll just, like, scat, or we'll just, like, talk about nonsense. Yeah. Like, absolute nonsense. But I think that there's just the freedom and the fact that we have had so much time, like, on the phone with each other, that it's just like having like
it's not even about talking sometimes.
No, it's just the person
being having companionship.
Yeah. Because
oh, that was sweet.
That was sweet.
What I just said?
Yeah,
that was really sweet.
It was the companionship. I think that like I'm very obviously like and clearly I'm a social person. You know what I mean? What? I know. It's shocking. Everybody is shocked to know that I'm a social person. But I think that as much as I love my in-person time with my friends and even like love in-person time with you, I think that there is just also really something special about the fact that like I can't talk to anybody else on the phone. Maybe one other person. I think there's one other person that I could talk to on the phone like that. I've also known that person for 26 years of my life. And so like I think that's super easy. But it's also
well, and the distance that we share and that you share with her force that. Like I think that that's part of the reason why we have grown to be so good at it is because we've lived at a distance from
most of our friendship at this point. Yeah. We are, they say don't live with your best friends, and honestly I think that a lot of people shouldn't, but like those two, like the 2 years that we lived together, they were great. There was
no, they were great. I just have two memories coming to mind about my fault. They were my fault. I mean, I don't know that it was 100% my fault, but there was that one time I slammed, I don't even know, who knows what we were arguing about something, and I slammed my door pretty loud. I have no idea. I just have a vivid memory of slamming that apartment door. And then obviously Kroger is Hannah left me at a Kroger, because we got into an argument, and it's so
I don't even. It was probably over the dumbest thing too, like over the dumbest thing. I don't remember the door slamming.
Like in the frozen pizza aisle or something.
Oh, I can still. Yeah.
We were.
Yep.
I got so mad at her. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to argue in the middle of Kroger, so I just you like grabbed at your chest. I grabbed at my chest. I kind of scratched myself. That sounds, again, can we have a counseling session real quick? I'm just kidding. But like
you were, I
was so angry and I didn't know.
I wish that I can remember
where to take it,
because
so I just did that, and then she was like super annoyed that I did that.
I like wasn't even like, I was mad, but I think I was to the point of mad where like I remember walking the perimeter of like the inside of the store, just like with like a dumb smile on my face, like what the heck am I supposed to do? Like,
right.
So I went out and sat in the car, and then I waited, and then I went back in, and then
but I did not know that. I thought that she had left, and so
anyway. And we drove there together.
Yeah, but I mean the rest of our time together, living together, was really great.
Yeah,
we had some really good times.
Yeah, I just think like we communicate really well with one another, and I think that is something that I don't know. I don't by any means. I'm not like putting like my friendship with you like on a pedestal, because like that's not fair. Like it's subjective. Like I have great relationships with people in my life that are not anything like you, that I feel like maybe that I am better with that person in that area. You know what I mean? Right. And like you with the people in the friends that you have in your life. But I think that there has just always been this like loyalist piece between the two of us. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's not important that you win or that I win. Like it's important that like our friendship wins. And I
yeah,
think
that took some time, I
it,
think,
yeah,
to get there.
it did.
But that's
And
a good way to put that.
yeah, and I think that I don't know. We grew up a lot together, and even like when we lived together, um, I think that there's just like a trust and like a vulnerability that exists there. That if you don't have like a secure foundation of a friendship, and you're like you're just like quote best friends, I could like living together is hard. Like I've lived with a handful of my friends or half a handful of my friends, and like two of the three came out unscathed. But like it's difficult. Like it's really difficult, and I think that I feel super blessed to know that it wasn't difficult. Like our biggest arguments, I mean Kroger is like jokeable now, but like our biggest arguments were never when we lived together. They have always been like smaller things.
I I also think that our one thing about our friendship that's really fascinating is that we are so different.
Yeah.
We are such different people. And a lot of times, like, I mean, I know they say opposites attract or whatever, but like, I think a lot of times friendships are
you find the
like-minded
people. Yeah.
Not that we're not like-minded. We just have very different ways we go about things, such as measuring
countertops
and
yeah, we're not cut from the same cloth.
Yeah,
like,
we handle things, like we respond to things very differently.
Yeah.
We have
our
different
hardwiring is
tastes in things, and it's kind of fascinating, really. So I think there is, like you mentioned, loyalty at some point, and I think that it's like a time thing too. Like it's just a commitment.
Yeah.
And
I think that whatever you're giving your time to, like you have to commit to it, because if you're just giving your time to something with no commitment, like you're just wasting your time and everyone else is involved. And I just really like very early on like loved being your friend, and I've shared this with you, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were friends, is like you were an answered prayer, because like I've had friends my whole life, but I've just never felt like seen, like in the same way that like I feel like that you saw me, whereas like you did not have like the role of a single best friend.
Yeah, and my mom will always say, she prayed for me growing up that I would have a best friend. She doesn't, because she hasn't necessarily had that either, and except for me, of course,
obviously.
But excuse me. But she, will talk about having prayed that I could have a best friend that was a Christian and all of that, and it took 19 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I was 18 when I started at Oakland City.
And then I met you. And I think that there's obviously, like, this kind of goes without saying, but I think that there's just something about like once you've been with somebody through something, it's like those little moments build trust.
Yeah.
And then that trust will take you through distance relationships and like distance friendships, and it will take you through those things. Obviously experiences build friendships, but it's not just like fun vacation experiences, but also those, like, you have really seen the worst side of me, and in multiple ways, like me being angry and ridiculous at Kroger, but also me, like, on the floor and
sadness,
and and so once you've gone through those moments and let somebody see the worst of you, and then they come back, like, that builds trust.
Yeah.
That makes friendships last.
I feel that I don't feel like, I just know it, like, I just give 100% to things that I believe in. And I think that for a really long time, I was giving 100% to things that I believed in, but that I wasn't getting anything, like, in return with. And everything was just, I developed that, like, coping mechanism of, like, well, I'll just be the reacher all the time. Because then I just reach all the time. And I think that I did, like, I spent a lot of time reaching for you, which is, like, I think I look back now and, like, you needed it, whether it was too much in the moment, you know what I mean, or misguided, or if it was even selfish on my part, because I just was just like, well, if I can just do everything and I can just be everything, then it'll work out the way that it's supposed to. But I think that once I realized that I didn't have to reach, like, I could just let you, like, be my friend without the fear that you weren't going to be there, you know? And, like, I think when I left Nashville and moved back to Evansville, it was harder on you than I took into consideration. Like, not that it was, like, that you didn't, like, handle it, you know what I mean? But, like, you finished out, like, 2 or 3 more months in that apartment by yourself every night, you know? Like, you went from having a roommate every day to not. Whereas, like, I was excited to move on. I think that that's been the only transition in our friendship, whether it's, like, through relationships, out of relationships, like, moving, transferring, like, whatever it is that we've done, it's the only one that I never was, like, nervous about, because I was just like, oh, like, of course we're gonna make it. But then, like, there's been other areas where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what if we don't make it this time, you know what I mean? And not that I, like, still feel that way, but, like, I think it's just the change and the dynamic of, like, you and I have, like, I mean, you've been in this house for 6.5 years. We've had a groove for 6.5 years of what that looks like. Right. And now, like, there's a change. It's going to change again. And, like,
in a really different way this time.
Yeah. And I have, like, the same assurance of knowing that, like, the friendship will remain intact through this whole time. It's just going to look different. Which I think is
natural.
It's natural, and it has to. Because, and, like, I hope that you have seen this, but, like, I know that, like, there have been things, like, you have come to me with, and, like, you're frustrated, confused, you have questions, or you just have thoughts, and I can just tell, like, you just need to get these thoughts out. And I've said, like, I think you need to talk to Travis about this. Not because I don't want you to talk to me, but, like, I am pro Hannah and Travis, you know, like, I am pro what that relationship looks like. And honestly, the more that I, like, lean into being, honestly, it's pro you. Travis is just, like, a little add-on, you know what I mean? But, like, pro you is being pro you and Travis. And the more that I focus on being, like, pro you and Travis, like, the less concerned that I'm going to be about what the future of our friendship looks like. And I think that I wouldn't be able to comfortably say that about, like, a lot of other friendships, you know? Even though, like, I've been in, this is what, wedding 14, like, 14 weddings.
Your number's slightly higher than mine.
Yeah, we did. We counted a couple of years ago.
Not that many. Of course, you've like, been bridesmaids. I've done different things.
Yeah, like, between singing, I don't think I put DJing on there, but between, like, singing and DJing, bridesmaids, candle lighting, like, I've been in so many different flavors of weddings. When I think about all the different weddings that I've been in and all of the different relationships that I've had with those friends, you know, I mean, they're all, like, I still talk to most of them, you know, like, there is still some sort of association with most of them. But I was never like, oh my gosh, this relationship is going to change. Like, when Rainey and Jason got married, I was just like, okay, like.
Well, you grew up with Jason.
I grew up with Jason, and so it was different. Whereas, like, this has just been very, very different. And it also, we've talked about, like, it just has looked differently than what you and I had planned. Like, a full circle comment there. Like, you and I have planned for you to marry several gentlemen over the last decade. You know?
Hey. Okay, now.
Not that I have any room to talk. Not that I have any room to talk, because your girl's over here falling in love on the first date. But we don't talk about him anymore. But I think that, like, if you look back I also, and I don't know that I think I've ever told you this, but
it's just expectations. Like we have certain expectations for how things will look and go, and and it hasn't been exactly that, you know.
Well, and I think there was a time in our 20s maybe that you were dating. We'll put dating with like a lowercase d. This guy, and there were so many times on a regular basis I would like pray every day, like God help me to love Hannah today. Not because like I felt that you were unlovable, but like I just had no peace about that situation. And I know that you and I at times have argued about, not argued, but like I will sometimes say that my discernment is stronger than yours, because I say that like I believe that discernment is one of my greatest strengths, my spiritual gifts. But genuinely with this person, like I just felt off the entire time, like just not good, you know. Like I just it felt very, very icky to me, and I just always was in this balance of like, is it because I don't want it to work, you know what I mean? Like, is it because like I don't want my life to change? And so like I would like pray. I remember like where I was working at that time, my route to work, and usually about the same time every morning I would pray like, God, please help me to help Hannah, like help me to love her today, because like loving you is not always supporting your choices. It's not always enabling those choices, but it's like, if you need me to just be ears right now, like I'll just be ears right now. If you need me to be honest right now, I'll be honest. And I just remember I just never felt peace about that situation, and I hated it because I know you are somebody who you see things, like you see the good things in people, like you are so like, I wouldn't even call it empathetic. I don't even think that it's empathy. I think it's the fact like you look at someone and you're like, they're like, there's good in them. Like there's genuine good in them.
There is, I believe.
Yes.
Well, actually, that's not true. According to Scripture, you know, none is righteous. No, not one. We've all gone out of the way.
We have.
Yeah.
but the gift of eternal life is Jesus Christ. Come back for that sermon later.
Yes.
But I like I don't want to compare the situations because they're not fair, but I feel like if you compare the current situation and the situation that I'm talking about, the other situation,
man, that's like the rose I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, 100 acres of beautiful flowers.
1,000 yellow daisies. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, Hannah, I see what you did there. An allusion to our show.
I think, though, that was one of those, like, on paper, you know what I mean? Like, it just, if you wrote it and it would have been exactly how it was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly how it was supposed to be, except for nothing about it was right. Like, it was.
Well, the thing about it is that people can be, you know, people can be this on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is who you are on paper. But the way that you treat people.
Yeah.
You can't put that on paper. You have to experience that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like, yeah, it's,
well, and all of this to say, what I was getting at with this is that what I think our biggest argument was, and you may have different thoughts on this, it was over it was over a boy. Like, we were not fighting over a boy, because that has
never happened.
Never happened. I think
there's very different.
There has been one man in the full amount of time.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
and so you know, if you know, you know.
That was super early on.
Yeah, super early on.
Very, 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 very.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But a fluke, like a genuine fluke. Like, you and I have very, very different tastes in men. But like we were arguing over this guy. Because if you haven't picked up yet, I think that I know a whole lot better for Hannah's life than what Hannah does. But
well, I think that goes both ways though. Like, I think that I think that the arguments that we have had, like, I'm not talking about, like, yelling or whatever.
Yeah,
Not we don't do that. We're past all that. We really didn't do that much ever.
I don't think...
Just maybe that one time I slammed that door. But anyway, I but like the struggles that we have had where it's been like tension.
Yeah.
Right. Has been in moments as we've grown into different like we are adults and we've kind of stepped into adulthood in different ways, and like right now in this season God is growing you in this way, and God is growing me in this way, and we've grown, Winston's super happy, but like you've made a choice that I didn't agree with, and I've made a choice that you didn't agree with, and like those tensions can be challenging.
Well, especially, and we talked through some of those tensions earlier this year about like it really it's subjective, but it's also like, is it just time for me to learn this lesson? Like, is God like open my eyes to something that maybe he hasn't opened yours, and vice versa, but it very much, it's difficult, you know what I mean? Like, it's difficult for you to like look at decisions that I'm making, or I look at decisions that you're making, and like, I mean, even to say how you've said it, like, how do you, when we've both been on the same page about something and then one day we're not on the same page about that subject, is really difficult. Like, that's a hard place to be, because we can have different convictions and we can have different feelings towards things. And I think I just have for sure weighed way too much into decisions like that in your life, and I know that I've acknowledged that, but I also like, I think I just genuinely like just never want to see you hurt.
Right.
And so if I can like somehow like look at a situation so objectively to where I can't see a possible outcome from it, then I'm doing you a favor, but like I'm really not, like I think that you have to learn lessons on your own and I have to learn lessons on my own.
Yeah.
And so by me not being more encouraging, like,
right,
has definitely caused tensions at time in our friendship with things, and it has left you like hesitant to share things with me or to be upfront earlier, because of the way that you would respond, and I don't like that. It's almost like, in my hope of trying to be proactive and to help you through something, like that something never even happened, like I just was just like, this is bad for you, like don't do this, and I think even like fast forwarding to Travis, like I remember where I was when you told me about Travis, like I remember what I was doing. Not saying like I remember like all of like my emotions of what I was feeling, but like I never had that feeling of discomfort the way that I did with the other ones. And I remember like pretty early on thinking like this could be a real thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it wasn't one was like, well, I guess because I have peace about this, then he's the one. Like, because like that's ridiculous. Like that's still putting so much power on my shoulders, when like that's not what it's about. But I think that it's still, I had formed bad habits by that point. You know what I mean? Like I had formed bad habits of just wanting to be proactive for you and like protect you from something, when like that's not my job. Like,
I actually think that some of these like lessons that you're talking about will really be beneficial for us when we become parents, because like, I don't know, a lot of what you're saying just makes me think about things that my mom has said, like as far as like, I can't, my prayer needs to be that God will show this person.
Yeah.
It's not my place, because I don't see everything.
Yeah.
God sees what we don't. And maybe also the lesson that he means for you is not the same lesson that he means for me. And our vantage points are very different, and he's the only one that has, the proper vantage point. And so like the prayer, needs to be like, God, like speak, allow Hannah to know, what's best for her, instead of, let me convince her of what
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be like really important in parenting, is my assumption. Yeah. Obviously, I have no idea, but because like you have to really let go of a lot of control. I think that is one thing that you and I both have in common, despite our many differences, is that we do like to have a sense of control over things, and the older that I get, even in the midst of this situation, in this season that I'm in right now, like I am really learning that I shouldn't have control, because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what's best for me. I don't know. The closer that I feel like, the older that you get, the wiser that you get, the closer that you get to God. And I'm not saying I'm not meaning to say that I'm like, just super.
You're being sanctified. It's happening.
Right. Thank you. But the more you realize you don't know anything, you know what I mean? That's kind of a cliche thing, but the more you realize, I don't actually know. I don't actually know anything. And
I think, and we've talked about this a lot, because of, I would say, like the dynamic of our friendship. I think that in a lot of ways has probably prepared us for small pieces of like what like future like spousal relationships will look like, but like it's still not enough, you know, like it's still not enough because the relationship is so different. But I also am just so thankful that like I've been able to like learn the measure of a petty argument, you know, like what is worth having an argument
what
over.
Hills are worth dying on.
Like I'll tell you what hill I'm gonna die on. I was already cranky today. You guys, I love this woman so much. She is my best friend. But she doesn't call when Winston gets worked up the zoomies. And it drives me
seriously
nuts. Of all the things that you do, I love so much about you. But the fact that you don't call them the zoomies, you say, he's getting a zoom.
He's catching a zoom.
I just want to grab like a piece of concrete and just like break it in my hand, because it is the zoomies. It is called the zoomies.
It is called the zoomies, yes, but I'm just making a play off of the word.
I know, and I understand.
Winston's
I'm
gonna
not
get
even.
A zoom. Here he goes.
I hate it, and here's the thing. I don't know why I hate it. There are
you know what it is? It's your version of do life. I'm gonna see. That's one that I don't like.
Yeah,
Let's
you don't
do
like
life together.
Except for the people actually say do life, Hannah.
I'm sorry that. Well, okay, fair point. All right, fair point. And I'm sorry to all of you out there.
Don't be sorry about people who say doing life together.
Life. We're gonna do life together.
We're gonna do life together.
That's just not grammatically like. Not that I'm always.
You know
correct,
who's? I think Carrie Job started that. I feel very strongly.
Really?
I think so. If I can go back to those engagement pictures of her and Cody Carnes on the beach at that table, I think she says
that's a core memory for you.
I
have no idea what you're talking about.
I celebrate. I was like, Carrie's getting married. I was so excited.
Oh man.
And I remember when they announced her first baby, like I shared it on Facebook, like
oh my gosh,
fangirling.
Wow.
Now I don't even think I follow her. Like it just shows how things change. But I have no hate to Carrie. I'm just meaning like I don't have a reason to follow her anymore.
Yeah, she's already on multiple kids. Who cares?
Boring.
Yeah.
Gosh, it doesn't. It's such a dumb thing for me to be like bothered by, but I'm also just like, I think you're so perfect in so many ways that I'm just like, I've got to be annoyed by something, and so this is just going to be
it. There are other things.
I guess so.
Oh, I'm sure, but I can't make decisions super well.
No, and
like
sometimes you're a little presumptuous. Sometimes you're a little presumptuous without communicating, and
yeah,
like
thinking that Hannah wants to go to Texas Roadhouse. Duh.
when you know, it's fine. I have a go to Texture House for you. They're I think I told you they're like rebuilding the one in Owensboro. Like, not knocking it down. Like, they're gonna let operations continue. They're just gonna be building a brand new one across the street while that one's happening.
Wow.
Then they'll have
I
two.
hope it will accommodate more people so
Yeah.
that it's like you don't have to wait 2 hours to get in. Anyway.
You need like a wait list to get on the wait list there, but do it for the rolls. So when I gave you the questions originally,
I was about to say, where are we at on these questions right now?
we were going through them, and Hannah, I would say, like, okay, let me back this up a little bit. People say our names differently. We always can tell. Like, I think 9 times out of 10, we can tell which Hannah someone is talking to based on how they say our name. We've done it. We've done the blind testing. There's just a difference in, like, the inflection of the voices. And it's fine because, like, we're different people. Our personalities are different. I would say that I'm probably the funnier one of the two. But I think that
people say your name with a little bit more energy, maybe a little bit more.
I think though that
assertive.
Like
I'm a
like you're the
serious,
like the sweet serious
softer,
one though. Like
yeah.
You're like a I don't know. Like you're like a joy to be around, but also like an acquired taste, like a shot of espresso.
Yeah.
I think you're like a shot of espresso. Like super pretty. Look at that caramel color, like with the hair, you know? Like
okay.
I'm really stretching this here, but
yeah.
I think that like whereas I am like right off the bat like, hey, what's up? Like let's do life, you know?
See, I think your metaphor is interesting because espresso shots give you energy, and I feel like that's probably not exactly what I bring to the table.
I was just meaning nobody like
sorry,
nobody
let me analyze your metaphor.
Nobody in their right mind is like, I've never had coffee before. Give me a straight shot of espresso. Like, if someone was just like, hey, I'm looking for a person who wants to sit and have deep conversations and is totally good with strangers, it's not gonna be you. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you know who I'm gonna tell? My super introverted best friend over here, Winston. I love you, but I'm done with the Kong. Thank you. So with this being said, that like you also are like you are funny, like, and I think it's probably because I just think that you're funny because I love you and there's just a part of that, but also like I think that you're funny. And so when we were going through these questions, she was like reading them off to me, and obviously one of the questions is about like what's your motivation for getting up every day. I was like, is joy your motivation for getting up every day? And you were like, I don't know.
No. It's definitely not. I hate that. Like, it kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, I'm like, no, my motivation is that I have to make a living.
Yeah.
And so, oh gosh, that just sounds depressing. But that's the truth.
It's the real answer.
It shouldn't be that way. I mean, it should be like, you know, thank you, Lord, for another day.
Yeah.
Let me go bring you some glory.
Yeah.
I hope. I pray. And I mean, I do. I pray it, and I mean it. You know what I mean? I really do mean it.
Oh, absolutely.
But obviously, there's this fleshly side that's like, let me snooze for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that I want people to answer these questions honestly. You know.
Yeah.
Now, like, had you like. I'm not saying that it would be a lie for you to be like, no, because, like, I have a job and I feel like, you know, I'm putting my job to use, and through that, like, there is a channel where that you feel like that you can do that. But, like, joy is not what gets me out of bed every day.
Well, yeah, and, like, when you talk about joy in my job, you're talking about little moments.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a teacher, and I may be in a little bit of a season where I'm a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a teacher.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, hello. I'm in maybe a slight bit of a funk about just like being tired of the grading. But
well, also I would just like to point out Hannah is a 12th grade honors English teacher. Nobody has more grading than that, and so
I
like
teach college paper
she
writing.
can be.
They're dual credit classes. And so I grade papers for a living basically all the time.
Yeah.
But kind of forget where I was going with that. He barked and
The joy, the feeling, the joy.
oh,
in the small
there's
moments.
There's moments like there's those handful of kids or handful of moments in the year that like that's what you do that for. But like when I think about joy getting me up in the morning, though, there are seasons, and I know, gosh, this is so cheesy. I'm gonna say something that makes me sound like such a girl.
It's a thing, though.
It's a thing, though. It's real. Like when Travis and I first started talking, I was so excited to get up in the morning and just like, what are we, what's gonna come of this today?
Yeah.
Like when there's a new thing like that. It's and obviously like it's leveled out some, of course, naturally, but there's that just is.
I told a friend recently that it frustrates me because like I just want to be self-sustaining, but I also want a husband. You know what I mean? Like there's that fine line there where like but it also I'm like, why am I in a good mood because some guy named...
It's frustrating.
You know what I mean? Like, because some guy... And it's not even just this... Like, oh my gosh, like, I swiped and I matched with this guy and, my brain immediately runs, for the hills. But it's just like, oh my gosh, I've had a stable conversation with a man every single day this week. Like, why do I just naturally feel better? And I'm, like, mad about it. I just want to know that, like... I think what it is, I don't have problems with like feeling like excited to be like talking to a guy, you know what I mean? Like I understand that's the natural part of that. I think it's like, why can't I just like conjure to get myself out of bed on a normal day? Like what other areas of joy in my life can I find aside from talking to a boy that like raises my whatever that is, serotonin? I mean, yeah, like working out is great. Like you have these things, but then there's like also like there's a reason we're all searching for love. It's because it makes us feel good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But so much of life is monotony and commitment and like just like consistency and loyalty and like like how I'm committed to this dog, who's trying to bite my hand.
I think the relationship that you all have is a real like girl dogs don't care. Like Suki today when I dropped her off at my friend's to watch her, she's like, "Bye, Mom." If you would have left him with me as you've done before, he would have taken it personally. He would have taken it to a shot to the heart and never recovered.
He's a little bit sensitive. Winston is a little bit of a diva. He's kind of a sensitive boy.
Well, they take after the owners. They take after the personality of their owners.
Hey.
I think like life is a little bit monotonous, and somebody like myself who tries to run away from the monotonous but knows that like there's structure and like there are good things that come from that, it is like these like peaks of joy, not like mountaintop peak, but like if you're looking at like a heart rate monitor, you know what I mean, like where it like shoots up and then it like levels back out and then it shoots up and it levels back out. Like it's normal. That is what a heartbeat should look like. There's a little bit of a lull in the middle and then like it beats again. And I just think that like that's what life is, it's like you may not like, you obviously love Travis so much more than you did when you first started dating, but like there is just something about the beginning of a relationship that feels like so new and fresh and exciting, and it creates like a different sense in you. And like,
well, I think it's also like literally chemical too.
Yeah,
like
the fact that I woke up 2 Fridays ago excited to go on a first date, like, I don't get excited about first dates, like why am I getting excited about this? But like you do, and you're right. It is the chemical switch.
But the true test is like, it's kind of a semi sort of like your relationship with God, like having kind of a revival experience where you're just like on some kind of high. But the true test is like, can you have peace?
The day-to-day contentment that comes from knowing Him.
Contentment is like life's greatest challenge.
Yeah.
The one thing, this is kind of sorry, this is a little random, but one thing that Travis said in a sermon a while ago, and I I think one of the most widely like misquoted scriptures is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, because it's like I can lift this 10,000 pound weight because Christ strengthens me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm being dramatic, but Paul's talking about contentment.
Yeah.
That passage, if you look at it in context, like, I can be content in any circumstance because I have Christ.
Yeah.
And that is, that, like, that's I don't know, that's the test. I don't really know exactly where I'm going with that, but this conversation makes me think about that, just because, like, for me anyway, that's been my hardest area where I need sanctification. Like,
which
is being content, because I am an idealist. I have an author brain. I'm always looking for the next, like, what's going to happen next? What's the next part of the story? Where, and like, I want it to be the ideal, you know? And so I'm always looking, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, and we can very quickly become discontent over silly
things that we've received,
right? Especially when it's like in comparison, when we compare ourselves to others and like all this stuff. And that's been something that's really been on my heart lately, of just like peace and contentment is, you have to
work for it
every day.
Yeah.
Every day.